Hey you all, my name is Adam Conrod. I'm doing this video because it is that time of year when people are starting to open air campfires that they often do this time of year of May. But the concern is the people who set these fires often don't have enough educational background to understand how an open air fire or campfire can easily take off. But the problem with that also is there's people that are contractors that they will set things afire in the woods to burn the debris because they don't want to spend the money to have a company take the debris away. My concern, the reason why we're filming here in front of the legislature is because the province is still allowing open air campfires, brush fires to continue after when last year the community of the South Shore, right from Hubbard's, Southwest Cove, right down the Armours, they had a massive forest fire where people had lost their homes, their livelihood was destroyed, their livelihood was interrupted, unfortunately. The concern is, if people are that bad when it comes to open air campfire burning permits that are being handed out, why is the province allowing open air campfires, brush fires to take place when they not only know that the woods is too dry? What has to happen is the province has to stop allowing campfires year-round. Well, at least from April to October, at least, because people just don't have enough educational background to control or understand how a campfire or a brush fire works or how it could take off this time of year. And often this time of year, there's always a massive massacre of a forest fire that has to take place before changes are done. My concern is, look at the communities of Porters Lake. It's almost year after year after year after year after year when a forest fire takes place in the community of Porters Lake because people just simply don't have enough educational background to understand how a forest fire can take place so easy when they're having a good time with their family and friends, when they're just having a simple, harmless campfire. This time of year, no campfire that looks friendly is harmless. Just because something looks harmless doesn't mean it can't turn deadly or very dangerous very quickly. And that is what happened in the community of Porters Lake on a yearly basis, unfortunately. And what it comes down to is people from the city that move out into the community of Porters Lake or these rural communities, and they'll go out, I'll have a great campfire with my family and friends, have a good time. Let's not pay attention to the global warming. Let's not pay attention to this dry woods out here that's just aching to catch a fire and burn out of control. But that's what happens. Behind me here in the legislature, my MLA is Kent Smith. I have grave concerns with him as my MLA. And I know my concerns are, our community and our province of Nova Scotia has to go through a great deal of disastrous events before your MLA or my MLA, Kent Smith, will take things serious before they come here in the legislature and say, all right, we're getting rid of the open air campfires. That's what they got to do. I talked to my council member, David Hensby, and he agreed. These guys right here ain't tuning into reality of what's going around out in the community. See, this is what's wrong. The priorities of these guys right here behind me in the legislature comes first over you, the people at home. You, the people at home, is what brings change. If the people in here, Tim Houston, Kent Smith, the NDP leader, Claudia Chandler, if she can't put pressure on Tim Houston, or even Zach Churchill, the interim leader for the Nova Scotia Liberal Party, if they can't put pressure on Tim Houston, or even attempt to put pressure on Tim Houston to bring change when it really needs to be done, perhaps Claudia Chandler, perhaps Zach Churchill should not be leaders of the NDP party or the Nova Scotia Liberal Party. Do you know what they do when they go in office? They take turns going in office. The NDP, the Liberals look after the Tories, and when they take turns going in office, they look after one another. And when they're going in office, they rotate round the clock every time. And when they do that all the time, things that matter to you does not get addressed. The open air campfires has to come to an end all spring long and all summer long. At least they can do is allow campfires to take place. Perhaps look at the month of October, if it's wet enough, damp enough, or even around the middle of late November, and let them burn right to February, the end of February. And why in God's name do it let somebody burn a campfire or a brush fire this time of year? It's just beyond my wild imaginations. But what's all going to come down to is this here. You, the people, are going to have to spend the money on a lawyer and sue these guys right here, because obviously they're not listening to you, because if they were, David Hinsby wouldn't have his back to the wall, pinned to the wall like it is. But you got to remember, people like David Hinsby, the other municipalities out in the South Shore, have to face disastrous events because these people right here are not looking after the communities or its people who elected them in the first place. So what it comes down to is this here. It's not rocket science, it's quite simple. If they don't want to take the time to listen to these concerns or your concerns and put things in place to protect your community from people that don't know what they're doing, perhaps you shouldn't have time for these people right here when they come knocking on your door come election time. It's not rocket science, it's quite, common sense stuff. So what it comes down to is, are you the people going to bring change? Because the only thing I can tell you is I've seen a lot of bad things slide down the conveyor belt because you the people had not been getting after these guys right here. Now we're filming here on Granville Street because Hollis Street is quite heavy with the traffic, so we like to do it where it's a lot quieter so we can hear each other a lot better. So what it comes down to, Kent Smith, if you're listening, if you're watching, you're my MLA. Me and David Hinsby already talked millions of times on the phone. Are you going to put legislation in place that bans people from having a brush fire, campfire in their backyards during this time of year, during the summer? Because what it comes down to is with our global warming, our communities can no longer withstand future forest fires. Because look at the truth of the fact, what happened in the South Shore. The people of the South Shore should not have lost their homes. Their homes should be still standing. But what we got before us is a bunch of people in office who's only worried about themselves. People on the South Shore should not have had a police officer banging on the door saying, "Sir, ma'am, you have to come with us immediately. You have to leave your house because there's a forest fire about 2 kilometers down the road. It's going to be here in about 10 minutes. That's stuff what we shouldn't be encountering. What we should be encountering is if you're caught with a brush fire or a campfire, they should be fined significantly. Crack down on the courts, stop the judges from allowing these people, the accused, who were caught red-handed setting the fires, who do it quite a bit, let them go. You know what you got to do? You got to put at least a 2-year prison sentence with a hefty fine. What is it, $20,000 now? 2-year prison sentence along with a $20,000 fine, plus community work to the community. Help them where they made perhaps replant some of the trees that they destroyed with their lack of carelessness or the lack of knowledge of the destruction what they caused with their forest, with their campfires and their brush fires because of their lack of knowledge of what a campfire. So, Kent Smith, even though I don't think too highly of you, no, I don't like you on a personal level, but I'm asking you, can you better protect our community by bringing legislation into effect that stops and prohibits people from setting open-air campfires, brush fires during the spring, summer months? So me, you, the people at home on the Eastern Shore and on these South Shore and all around the province of Nova Scotia, so their homes and livelihoods are not put at risk or destroyed. The problem with this is, Kent and Premier Tim Houston, if you're listening, people like you are making well over $100,000 a year, if not $300,000 a year. You guys knowingly know you guys have enough money for house insurance. Not everybody can afford home insurance to rebuild their homes because of some idiot that started a campfire that caused somebody's house to burn down because it lit the woods afire. So we elect you here in this legislature for a reason. If you're not going to defend and better protect our community, I strongly suggest that you leave the legislature so our community of the Eastern Shore can better elect a more appropriate person to lead our community of the Eastern Shore so our homes are not at risk because of these idiots here in the legislature that don't want to put things in place that actually matter, laws in place that actually matter, that protect the people and their livelihoods. So if this is too much of a bother for you, Kent, so I'm telling you right now, pack your bags, get the hell out of your MLA office, our MLA office, I should say, and vacate that office for somebody who's more appropriate to represent our community of the Eastern Shore. We don't want to see people lose their homes. We don't want to see people and their livelihoods destroyed because of your lack of leadership to our community. And that goes for you too, Tim. If you're listening, you're probably home there scratching your head and wondering if you should do this or not. What do you think? If you're not going to do this, maybe we should be re-electing you as Premier of Nova Scotia. The reason why Claudia Chandler and Zach Churchill are leaders of the party because they knowingly know that they're not going to get elected. I know that too. The odds of Claudia Chandler becoming Premier of Nova Scotia is slim to none. All the thing they're doing is propping Tim Houston up so he can get himself re-elected, and that's how Tim's going to do it. What we got to do is get these idiots out of office and put people in office who's there to represent the community. That's what's wrong. The only thing what we see here in the legislature is people who are there to benefit themselves and not the community. So Kent, Smith, Tim Houston, you heard what I just said. We have to ban open-air campfires. And the question is, are you going to do it? Are you going to better protect our communities? Or are you going to continue to stand by and watch idiots set campfires that sets the woods afire, that puts people's homes at risk, their livelihoods at risk, and their well-being at risk? So what's it going to be?